June 26, 2024. Well, the topic today, I guess, is the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It's coming up, and we're make some comments here after the event. I suppose I'll have to put a post debate wrap up, but this is kind of what I'm sort of looking at for the debate here, and they make some thoughts about the strategy of it and the situation. I mean, of course, I've had my doubts about this whole thing anyhow. I mean, here we have a CNN debate with Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, who are definitely notoriously anti-Trump personalities. I mean, and so what Tapper actually made comments that Trump was something like Hitler or something. I mean, this kind of craziness, and so that is that's the lion's den he's walking into. On the other hand, Biden has the problem if he screws up really bad. It's quite possible that there'll be a much stronger movement to try to get him to remove himself from the ticket and pick somebody else. And as I've been pointing out in previous videos, I think this is the one thing we don't want to have in the pro-Trump side, and that is we really want Biden as the candidate. I mean, one could argue they might have some difficulties picking somebody else, and how could they get around the Kamala Harris problem and all that? But I think that can be finessed. The Democrat Party is able to do the backroom stuff better than anybody else. So I think that basically that won't be a showstopper for him. And if Biden does well, of course, then that probably will put that to rest, because the next debate won't be to after the convention. So and by that time it'll be kind of committed. So that's sort of the kind of lay of the land. For Trump's point of view, though it is kind of a either way it goes, it could be if he wins big, it could be a loss because they've replaced Biden. If he loses big, well, then he lost, and that's not good. So if it comes out as kind of a draw, I guess that's the best outcome I see in a way, or a draw or a marginal win. A win where the Democrats can still spin it that it wasn't a win or it wasn't bad or something like that, and yet good enough that Trump can say, hey, look, I won. Of course, Trump will say he won anyhow. Of course, we all know that. That's the nature of the individual. So, so that's kind of the situation. So let's get into a little bit of the strategy of it, of course. And by the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like. It helps with the algorithm. And of course, you can subscribe if you haven't already, in order to follow me here, and on YouTube. And if you're on Rumble, you can subscribe to me over there, because the information is in the description below on how to do all that. Yeah. So basically, I think that the one thing that Trump really needs to do in this, in my opinion, is to try to be a little less Trump-like here and just do a solid fact-based debate. Given the format, first of all, it doesn't encourage talking over anybody, because as I understand, your microphone is going to be off when the other person's time to talk is. Then when your time to talk is, your microphone's on and his is going to be off. So, which I think is a good format. So I think that should focus a little bit more on the issues. Of course, the Democrats are going to primarily try to, I think, attack Trump on the idea, well, they're going to push the convicted felon line very much. They're going to push January the 6th very much. And they're going to push this so-called fake threat to democracy thing. That's essentially what they have to have, I think. And now, on the other hand, Trump has the issues of the border, the inflation, cost of housing, and all the fentanyl that's getting through because he has an open border, and all the crime that's happening because of the open border, which gives him a lot of good issues. So the real issue, I think, is how does Trump handle the negativeness, and or does he just try to avoid it? I don't know. But with these CNN moderators, they're going to try to make it as bad for Trump as possible, and so that leaves us in a situation where we're kind of like, well, so we'll have to see how this comes out. Of course, The other thing that's going to happen is literally there'll be more Supreme Court rulings will be coming out very short as well, and so those may or may not impinge on the campaign. I don't know whether this presidential immunity thing will happen, immediately here, or whether that'll be one thing we'll have to watch and see. As of this recording, it'll be a little while before we know the answer to that. Of course, I've addressed that before too. I think that we'll just have to see where the court what they want to do with that subject. The fact that they took the case, I think, seems to bode a little bit good for Trump. I noticed that there's been some discussion that there's been a little bit of divergence in opinions lately on the conservative side. Not that they're necessarily disagreeing on the decision, but the rationale. So that'll be an interesting thing to look at too. So we'll have to just wait and see there. I think I've had a new thought on the since last time on what the court might choose to do. Since one of the other cases they have, which will probably come out before the presidential immunity decision, or maybe at the same time, either way, is an issue on this what's called, I think, the Enron laws, that what's sometimes referred to, which has the obstruction of official proceeding thing. And it's generally thought that's an appeal from the January 6th defendant, I think, is appealing. And if they rule in the favor of that defendant and basically say that law doesn't apply to things like a riot or a protest, then essentially you'd be shooting down half of the cases in D.C. anyhow. So, and of course that the fact that these trials are coming up may well be fodder for the debate as well. And they may ask something like, well, they may ask Trump if he'll withdraw from the race because of this, if he's convicted on any of these things. You never know where that'll go. But but I think that what I thought the court might do is on the other cases that wouldn't be related to this so-called Enron or obstruction of official proceeding law. I mean, they might also just try to rule on the specifics in the January the 6th case. Specifically, just basically, in other words, don't let the lower court do its normal procedure, but simply rule on the issues and just destroy the case themselves. Just order to be dropped because basically there's no criminal offense there. I mean, I don't know if they'll do that. That would be a bold move, but it's one way to not procrastinate and just end it. But we'll see what they do. And also have to see how this debate turns out. This will be interesting. Going into it, according to the Real Clear Politics presidential poll average, I think Trump is now 1 point ahead. I think all these polls were taken after the verdict in the New York case, and although it's skewed up 1 point, the Rasmussen poll has Trump ahead 9 points nationally based on likely voters. I can find no specific detail on the Rasmussen poll, which you usually can find on their site, so I'm skeptical about that number. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that came out when it did. And it looks to me to be an outlier. I generally like the Rasmussen poll, generally speaking, because of its methodology and the fact it focuses on likely voters. But perhaps in this election, it isn't as relevant anyhow because there may be different groups of people voting than normal, and they may have different tendencies. So, but at any rate, so if you throw that out, the average is a flat tie. So that's kind of where we are right now. But when you look at the swing state polls, Trump's leading on those pretty across the board, pretty much. So that's good. So at any rate, that's kind of the situation we're facing with the debate and the legal environment around it. So I'll be wrapping this one up for now. I will, of course, as always, post this on YouTube and Rumble. And the links to my social media accounts are in the description below. I frequently post on X, particularly about various other topics and this as well. So until next time.